As the city council heads into budget season, department heads are facing tough questions about their spending. The police department has been asked to come up with $92 million in cuts, something the superintendent says would have an impact. Police Superintendent Larry Snelling taking his turn in the budget hot seat today, telling city council members that the department is well aware of the current budget crisis and he realizes CPD will have to do its part, but he has concerns.
I want to be very careful and cautious about where we cut and what we do so that it doesn't affect the progress that we're making right now and the safety of the city.
Before the hearing, advocates gathered outside demanding that money allocated for unfilled police positions be reallocated for public health and community care.
So we have a system that is broken and we need to fix it. And the only place where we can find the money to fix it right now is in the police department.
Brandon Johnson is taking his boldest step yet. While the city is still grappling with soaring crime, while the city of Chicago is still having conversations with Washington, D.C. about whether or not the National Guard should come to the city, Brandon Johnson is betraying the city of Chicago by asking the Chicago Police Department to come up with $92 million in cuts. That is going to be a significant cut to the security of the city of Chicago. But don't be fooled. This was his plan all along.
The effort of the defund police movement lost an audience because of that that slogan, I guess is what he's calling it, which I don't look at it as a slogan. It's an actual real political goal.
You heard that. Then candidate Brandon Johnson appeared on a local AM radio station here in Chicago, and while being interviewed, he brought up defund the police, and he said flat out that that's not a slogan, that's a political goal. And then later, when he got to the mayoral runoff and he was actually debating and was asked about that statement that he made, he said this.
And that same year you said it was a political goal to defund the police. Here is what you said.
The effort of the defund police movement lost an audience, which I don't look at it as a slogan. It's an actual real political goal.
So, Mr. Johnson, what do you say to Chicagoans who do want more officers in their neighborhoods?
Well, my public safety plan does just that. It's why in my public safety plan, we're going to promote, train, and hire 200 more detectives so that we can actually solve crime in the city of Chicago. You know, it's going to cost me roughly $50 million to make sure that we are actually administering the consent decree. You know, right now, we're not administering the consent decree and we're not solving violence in the city of Chicago. By promoting and hiring 200 more detectives, we actually can solve crime. Because
what happens to those officers who are promoted? What happens to refilling those?
Well, look, the way you recruit officers, you got to make sure when people are working on the front line, you can't ask police officers to do their job and someone else's.
So as is customary with Brandon Johnson, even as a candidate, he couldn't answer the question. That moderator played exactly what he said about defunding the police. And he gave this circuitous answer like, oh, I'm going to do this and that's what my plan is going to do. We know 2.5 years later how well his plan has not worked. But even before he became mayor, he was telling everyone exactly what he was going to do.
More on policing per capita anywhere else in the world has been a failure.
Well, he once sponsored a Cook County board resolution to reduce police funding. And today, candidate for mayor Brandon Johnson said he would cut the Chicago police budget by at least $150 million. He proposes to spend billions of dollars more on social services, including mental health and youth employment.
Our political editor Mike Flannery joins us now with more. Mike.
Anthony and Natalie, a former educator, Johnson now works for the Chicago Teachers Union as an organizer. He said he would promote more detectives to solve killings and shootings, but he has repeatedly declined to answer whether he would cut the number of budgeted police officers.
Look, I get it. Like, people are talking about policing as a strategy, but keep in mind that is the strategy that has led to the failures that we're experiencing right now.
The Chicago Police Department currently has about 1,600 vacant police officer positions, depending on who's doing the estimating.
So you heard him say right there in that report, when he was Cook County Commissioner, when he was talking about running and becoming mayor, he was going to cut the CPD budget by over $150 million and put billions of dollars into summer jobs and programs. Those Chicago violence interrupters, which is just a way to funnel money to nonprofits because they're not getting the job done either. But I digress. This has always been Brandon Johnson's plan. This betrayal has been in the works since he was a candidate. It was always his goal to lower funding as much as he could for the police department because, as we all know, he thinks that law enforcement and incarceration is a sickness.
Jails and incarceration and law enforcement is a sickness.
You heard him say right there, he believes it's a sickness. This was always his plan to betray CPD. But by betraying the Chicago Police Department, he is betraying the citizens of the city of Chicago. I'll even take it a step further. I don't live in the city of Chicago, I live in a suburb, but I drive into Chicago once a week. My safety is in danger because he's making these cuts. If you need to come to Chicago for business, your safety is in danger. If you're a tourist who just comes and visits Chicago in the summertime, he's putting you and your family's safety in danger because he has this ideological belief that police do not have a place in our society and he wants to eradicate them. But Superintendent Snelling, the current leader of CPD, is at least on the record saying that before he makes these cuts, he wants to make sure they can be done in a responsible way. So Brandon Johnson is asking CPD to look for $92 million in cuts, but he's not getting buy-in from the Chicago Police Department.
There were concerns about police overtime as well.
I think when you've got a $1.5 billion deficit, you've got to look at every department. And so what I've called for isn't necessarily cutting, but auditing at the very least, right? Are we spending the money as effectively as possible?
The police department has already racked up $28 million more than the $100 million it's budgeted for overtime due to a multitude of major events. The superintendent saying organizers like NASCAR, which had its own inside security, helped defray police overtime, suggesting other event hosts might need to do the same. Snelling said he is concerned that meeting the suggested $92 million in cuts could hurt public safety, with the department already short nearly 1,000 officers.
We still have a lot of work to do. We're going in the right direction. It's going to take some time. And we just have to make sure that our department is properly staffed to get that done.
So you heard that, right? I don't know if you caught that. Earlier in the video, when Brandon Johnson was being interviewed and talking about cutting the police department by $150 million, then candidate Brandon Johnson, when he made that recommendation, the Chicago Police Department was short 1,600 police officers. Now, 2.5 years into his term, the city is still short 1,000 police officers. And now on top of that, he wants to cut $92 million from the Chicago Police Department budget because, as he said, law enforcement is a sickness. Brandon Johnson has betrayed, and he continues to betray, the safety of the citizens of the city of Chicago. He is undoubtedly the worst mayor in the history of this city. Please, Chicago, when you get an opportunity to vote in a new executive in 2027, do not re-elect this man or anyone like him. His lofty, idealistic ideals about how to run a city, that might be a perfect way to run a 4th grade social studies classroom in an elementary school, but it's not how you run a major metropolitan city, the 3rd largest city in the United States and the 10th largest city in the world. This is the wrong man for the job. He's the wrong man for the moment. Do me a favor, leave a comment. If you're still hanging out and you like this video, I'm going to put a link to a playlist of other Brandon Johnson videos that I've made. So feel free to binge watch those. Leave a hype, leave a like, but most importantly, subscribe. leave a comment, and let us know your thoughts. Is Brandon Johnson the worst mayor in the history of Chicago? And is he betraying the citizens of the city of Chicago by what he's doing to the Chicago Police Department? I appreciate you for hanging out. I'll catch you in the next one.